Okay, so we talked about the first C as conflict, and then we talked about the second C as change. I think of both of these as ever present in our society. In our diverse world, there will always be conflict, but there will also always be change. And we can point to many significant changes that have been made in our society regarding race relations, for example, and the status of women. So we know change is possible and it happens all the time. And when we believe that change is not possible, then we end up with another C, which is crisis. And so in this course, leadership, diversity, and societal change, change is an extraordinarily important word. And this assignment, the action plan, relates specifically to you and your desire to make a positive change. So I'd like to walk through it with you. This assignment is due on April 5th. And you can see that by looking at your assignments and due dates link on the front Moodle page of your course. There is no separate assignment. The assignment is literally spelled out for you in this template. So this is the link that you need when you're ready to do the assignment. Using the knowledge that you have gathered in your research. Well, that assumes that you've done some research in one of the areas of diversity. And if you haven't started to do that, it's a good time to start thinking about that for your mini lit review. And I would guess that you're doing a bit of research also in preparation for your group project. Some of you have done several article reviews, and so of course that counts as research. But you've gained knowledge not only by researching, but by discovering new resources and reading new materials and linking that to what you know about your field. And the goal of this assignment is that you will create a plan for change. And what's really, really important is that it's a doable plan for change. It can be small, that is, it can be something you implement in a classroom. It can be large, it can be something that an entire school participates in or a whole school district. It can be something that you help others to accomplish through facilitation and collaboration. So there's really a great deal of flexibility in this assignment. Now, the assignment here says that this is your final assignment, and it is not your final assignment. But this action plan assignment has been used in this course since its inception. I've just moved it a bit, and so I forgot to correct that. I'm sorry, I don't want that to confuse you. So the goal is for you to apply theory to practice in leading change that will ultimately benefit the children and benefit your school and society at large. It is a 10-point assignment, and there is a rubric. If that's not posted, I'll get that up there right away. You are literally going to label the parts of your action plan this way so that you can do section 1, action, section 2, rationale. It does not have to be written like a paper, and you do not have to follow APA standards per se. I mean, it should be readable and neatly formatted, and you should be careful of your punctuation and grammar, but you can actually write the assignment the way you're looking at it here, so that section 1 would be action, and you would in fact describe the course of action that you've decided to take. What is your plan? What is it that you would like to do? I can think of some examples of what students have done in the past. I've heard just amazing action plans, and real projects have come out of this class. One fourth grade teacher who took this class got her whole school to read 3 cups of tea together at the same time. And that was possible because the book is written at different levels. And so even the kindergarten and first grade students could participate. And they talked about themes from um, the book, and they talked about Greg Mortensen, and then they had a school-wide fundraiser, and they made a donation. And so um, this was an action plan to raise awareness about needs in other countries and the importance of schooling and the importance of charity and giving and so on. So that that was a very interesting um, action plan, and of course she linked it back to what she had learned in this class. Um, your action plan needs to make positive change, but it doesn't have to be super specific. For example, that it would make positive change related just to gender. It may very well relate to a number of aspects of diversity. You should frame the problem that caused you to create this action plan for change. Um, what do you see going on? What do you think the students need that they aren't getting? What is it that needs to be made better? It's literally your rationale for this plan. To help you make this more doable, it, we ask that you identify your human resources and think about, besides yourself, what will other people have to do to make this a success? And do you think that they will be able to do it? How do you expect people to contribute to your plan? You should consider resistance. It's important to really think through a plan before you try to put it into action. And are there people who may put up resistance? Are there difficulties, for example, raising money, or might there be issues with parents? What financial resources are required to put your plan into action? And do you have a budget? Do you have a clear idea about how you will fund your plan? Obviously, if your plan doesn't require finances, then you can explain that in this section. You should also think about your timeline, step by step. What will you need to do? Put those pieces of your plan in order. Create a realistic but tentative schedule to facilitate change. So this is due on April 5th, but the plan is due on April 5th. That doesn't mean that you're expected to put your plan into action. In fact, I hope to be able to give you some good feedback, and it would be wonderful if you could really put this plan into action. And I would love to hear back in the future if you do bring the plan to fruition. Finally, you will complete an assessment. How will you know that you've achieved your goal, and how will you know that this plan has been a success and that you've achieved successful change? How would you assess yourself? And I think the last sentence is probably very clear and describes just what you should do here. Describe your vision and how you will know when your vision has become reality. I played that clip from Pay It Forward before talking about, or I would have, and hopefully you watched it, because it's very much related to this idea of change. And it's easy to believe that change is too hard, and people won't change their ways, and nothing can be done, and things just are the way they are. But if we look back in history, we know that at one time people believed the world was flat. We know that at one time people did not believe that we could fly. They thought the Wright brothers were crazy. When I use my cell phone, I am still in awe that I can do the things I can do with my cell phone. Even 10 years ago, if I had tried to tell someone there would be this station called Pandora where I could just type in the name of any artist that I liked and I would get a whole radio station created for my listening pleasure based on my musical taste, people would have thought I was nuts. Change happens all the time, and change is propelled by people with ideas and energy and motivation to move from the idea of change to the action. And we will be talking about people who you admire, people who you believe are great leaders toward the end of this course. And I would bet that those people who you identify as great leaders took some risks and pushed for change and probably did things at one time or another that were somewhat unpopular or that people simply believed that they could not do. And so this action plan, just starting to think this way and trying to come up with a real plan for change, is a very important thing for you to do in your preparation as an educational leader. So I wish you good luck, and I really, really look forward to reading your action plan documents. I want to go back to, not to our slideshow, but actually to our class for a moment. And I think I got kicked out. If you'll bear with me for a moment, I just want to look ahead a little bit. Oh, I'm wondering if you can hear the sleet bouncing off my roof as I record. It's quite loud. Okay, I want to just look ahead because we're not together tonight for you to ask me questions. And here we are. We've wrapped up language. Many of you turned in case studies, which is great. And we would be right here having our class meeting. I think you can clearly see what you need to do for the rest of this week. Next week may look a little light here with the topic learning styles because you've actually read part of chapter 8 is about learning styles, and so the reading is lighter, your action plan is due, and there will be a learning styles voice thread available for you. It will probably be 3 to 4 slides again, so you can plan ahead for that. But the reason things are kind of lighter here is that you have some big things to be working on. The action plan, while it's not necessarily a long document like a 10-page paper or anything, it takes a great deal of thought and it requires you to really think through some details. And shortly after the action plan is due, your mini lit review is due, and so you should be starting to read and think and collect information for your mini lit review. I'm sure that you've probably already done literature reviews in your educational journey. This is called a mini lit review because you need to only review 5 articles. To be successful in this assignment, you should think about the area of diversity in this course that is most interesting to you. For example, perhaps it's gender. There were several interesting things about females and their science and math abilities. And so if you wanted to look more deeply into that issue, is it true that women are underrepresented in science, for example, then you would formulate a hypothesis. You're probably not really going to be able to do that until you've read a lot of what's out there. And so you should come up with maybe an interesting question or something you think you would like to research further. And then you explain that you'd like to research that further based on what you've already read. And so then you would summarize and comment on 5 articles on that topic, or it's as closely related as you can get. And it's sort of like your article review, but you're doing 5 of them, but you want to integrate it into one document so that you show the interrelationships between the articles, any shortcomings, and then particularly you would wrap up with why these articles lay the groundwork for research you think you might like to do in the future. Okay, so got you thinking about your action plan and your mini lit review. You should be talking with your group members about a plan of attack. You should be starting to gather resources. You might use something like a Google site to allow you to all collect your resources